So in this segment, what we want to treat today is form. So we are going to start with our HTML. So HTML frame. So when it comes to form is used to collect user information, such as your login, registration, and so many other forms you have been filling in most website and web application. So we're going to start with the opening and closing form tag. So whenever we're talking about form, one of the most important thing to deal about is a form attribute. The first thing you need to get in mind is the form attributes. So one of the form attributes remember when we talk about attributes are always specified in the starting tag. So the first attribute we're going to talk about is the action. So the action attribute. So the action defines the particular action that is being performed when a form is being submitted. So the action is just like a portal that sends the user information into the backend or the server script for the server script to act upon it. So for example, in this action we may already have a backend script, probably called, let me give it backend.php. So whenever a form is being submitted, or whenever a user fills a form and clicks submit, that information that is he or she inputted in the form will be sent into this backend. For example, this back.php, where this whatever code that is inside of this back.php will act upon that information. So another attribute we have is the target attribute. So the target attribute have four value. We have the blank, we have the parent, we have the self, we have the top. So by default, the target simply is used to, so the target is just a place where, so the target specify a place where the response is being displayed. So where do you want the response from your form? Whenever you click on that submit button, where do you want the response to be displayed, or where do you want to receive your response? So you can say by default we have self. So we always start with the underscore. So you can say self, which is by default, whenever you click submit, everything will always open in the same window or in the same tab. So but if you put blank, so what it simply means is that whenever you click on submit, it's going to open on a new tab. The response is going to come out on a new tab. So you may have seen that whenever you're dealing with age, so whenever you click on age, you find out that your response mostly are always displaying on a new tab. So the next one we have is the top and parent. So the parent says that whatever response is going to be displayed in the parent frame, while the top says that whatever information that is being sent is going to be displayed in the full view of the window. So then I'm going to put this in blank because mostly we usually use this blank. So the next attribute we have is the method attribute. The method attribute specifies the HTTP method in which a value is being, or an information is being sent. So it can be sent to a URL variable using the get method, or a post transaction using the post method. So there are rules when concerning whenever you're using these methods. So one, we have the get method. So whenever you're using the get method, always know that your information is going to be the get method always appends the form data in value pair. For example, when you comes into your URL, you're going to see your information displaying on this top. Whenever you click on the submit, it's going to be displaying on this top in like value, something like this. Let's say name, and you're going to see something like this, and then the actual name, the actual person's name. So when the get method can be bookmarked, the get method result. So the get method is also used for mostly non-secure secure data, like probably you are trying to, like the Google web. So the get method has a size limitation, data limitation of 248 character. So but whenever you're using the post method, the post method always appends form data. So it appends form data at the HTTP appends form data at the body of the HTTP. So which means that your information are usually not displayed in the URL like the get method. So the post method does not have a size limitation. So you can put as much data as you want. So now the post method is mostly used to send secure data, like any personal information. So for the get method, you cannot use the get method to send sensitive information. So the next attribute we have is a autocomplete attribute. So this autocomplete attribute has on and off. So by default it's off, you can put it in on. So when it's on, what it will do is that your browser will always autocomplete whatever information you have based on what the user have already previously input. So another attribute we have is a null validate attribute. The null validate attribute. So the null validate attribute is here to tell the browser not to validate user information before when submitting. So it will submit the user information without validating it. So in our next episode, we're going to talk about the form data, the form elements. So